Well, we're in the busy main road here that's going through Kentford, village of Kentford in Suffolk. And this is the church of St Mary the Virgin. Now, I can see already that this church actually is locked, and though there is a key available, it's available from a local pub. And as we're not in the hours that the pub is open, we won't be able to get the key, but we'll see what we can see from the inside. The thing that it says on this notice board here, that there was a church here from 1320 on this site. So obviously this church has been built after that. Anyway, there's a big gate here, and let's try opening this. Right, well, the church is on a hill here, but it's in a little bit of a dip by the look of it. There's a hard path that leads to the gate of the porch. But I think just before we look at that, we'll just have a look up here, because there's something interesting, and that's that there's a person who died at 100 years old. Let's have a look.
In loving memory of Harriet Burt, died February the 13th, 1894, aged 100 years.
Well, that's interesting. People at that time were living to 100 years old. He must have been a healthy chap. So we've got this church here that is set right on the main road. It's got houses each side, and you can hear dogs barking, traffic going, so it's a bit noisy. Houses behind it. So the churchyard itself, which was probably, I suspect, bigger at some point, and they probably sold a lot of the land off, maybe. I don't expect that the churchyard was this small, but now it is fairly small. Obviously there's some quite old headstones here. The church itself is, well, the porch looks quite old actually. The flint and the sides of the door there. The tower isn't very big. That's probably an original tower of some age. We'll have a look from the other side. Well, there's a gravestone here that we just noticed. It's from 1709. Very difficult to read anymore because of the weathering, but so there's some quite old headstones in this churchyard. We come over here in the shade here, and we're at the corner of the churchyard. And you can see quite clearly that it's not a very big churchyard now. There's only about 10 feet from the boundary to the church here. But you can see the extension. Large windows. Door. It's quite a large looking church with a small tower. Unusual, really. It's a shame that the setting isn't lorry's going by. I was saying that the setting isn't that pleasant because of the noise from the traffic, but still, they didn't have that to worry about when this church was first built. Here at the back of the church, where the altar is, we can see the large window, stained glass. So we'll just go around and have a look at the side. Looks like they've got some floodlights here. On this side of the church, we've got more quite old headstones and graves. Some of them here in some state of disrepair. Church looks a bit different from this side because it's actually rendered, or most of it's rendered here on this side of the church. There's still these large windows. Oh, it's lovely here. Look at this. We've got this beautiful part of the churchyard which is full of trees and shadows and sun coming through. Very picturesque. These lovely headstones that look so nice. The ground is full of broken twigs and leaves. Very, very picturesque here. So it's quite a contrast. We've got this old church and its old setting, and next to it a modern house. But if we look here, much that we see here hasn't changed for a few hundred years. Back of the church, there's another field. Doesn't seem to be any building here. Whether it's still part of the church's property, I don't know. This is a lovely monument to somebody here. This lovely cross which has got the sun shining on it and the shadows from the tree. It's beautiful. So I think we'll go down to the other part of the churchyard and see how the church looks from there. So we're in the far corner here of the churchyard. We're in the shade. Oh, and look. The church looks lovely. The sun just shining through these trees here. Quite beautiful, really. There's some newer graves here, newer headstones. And just have a look at the bottom of the tower, and then perhaps see if we can get a view of the interior of the church through the windows of the tower. It's a power supply. I look at it going in through that lovely round window. The tower actually looks more impressive from this angle because it's got these double buttresses on the corner. And the churchyard, with the houses are incongruous to the churchyard, actually. It's quite a strange looking sight. But the churchyard's beautiful. A lot of character. We've got the porch here, which had a window at one time. That's been bricked in. We've got stained glass windows. At least they look like stained glass from this side. They're a bit high to actually have a look through. The church is locked, as we can see. I'm not certain that we can actually get in here. And this porch looks really old. I mean, we've got the wheelie bins, but we've got all this. all that stonework, and I don't know, maybe it's possible that that was from another building, or maybe from the older church that was here before. That certainly looks very old, but that would have been a window, I guess, that's been bricked in. Whether we can reach the windows, I'm not certain. So that's a busy church in the middle of Kentford, on the busy main road here, and unfortunately it's locked, so we can't have a look inside. But an interesting church, as much that parts of it look older than the rest. And certainly that porch looks really old. There's so much wear on that church, it just makes me think that parts of that porch were from a different church. Maybe that was there and the rest of the church has been rebuilt. It's very odd. Anyway, it's the best we can do here.